Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know the drill. Welcome back to Gabbin with Gab. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. So, in honor of it being my first week back at college since winter break, we're going to be talking about school and school stress and kind of how to deal with that and maybe a few stories. So, let's get into it. So, going back to school, I was kind of worried this semester just because there's certain people I was like, I really don't want them in my classes, and it's like whole new classes. So you don't know how the professors are going to be, you don't know what your classmates are going to be like. So you're kind of just like a little scared, at least I am sometimes. So, and that's completely normal to be anxious about going into a new situation. Because there were certain people I felt like I was more nervous to go to this semester than last semester because I didn't really know many people there last semester, like just people from my high school, but I didn't have like any awkward situations or anything happen with anyone from my high school. So I was just like a little nervous because like you form more connections with people. So there are certain people I was like, I really don't want them in my classes. But guess what? They weren't in my classes. It works out. And if they are, okay. It's the thing is, uh, it not everything's as big of a deal as we make it in our head, and that's what happened to me. So but I was very excited because one of my friends transferred to my school, and she's one of my best friends. So I was so excited to like be in school with her, even though we have no classes together. Like now we can spend time together. Because personally, I know that I'm transferring in 2 years to go to a different school. So I feel like I haven't made much of an effort to like get too close with people at my school just because I'm like, I have my other friends because a bunch of my friends stayed home. So I'm like, they're just at a different school. Like, but I'm not going to be graduating with this class of people. Like, we'll be graduating at the same time, but different places. I'm going to a different school in a year and a half. In 3 semesters, I'll be at a different school. So I didn't make such an effort to reach out. But now I have a friend that I'm able to hang out with, and we're having so much fun together. So I'm so glad about it. One thing I really realized was a lot of situations we build up in our head, but they aren't that big of a deal once we get through them. For example, I had my last class on Monday with statistics. I didn't check my schedule for like a month prior, so I just had a screenshot of it. And they changed the room. So I was sitting in the room. I got there early and everything. I was sitting in the room and it said statistics. It was another statistics class, but it wasn't my statistics class. So then once I realized when like the professor said his name, I was like, that doesn't seem right. So then like I packed up my stuff and like in my head I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so weird. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, why is she just getting up? Blah blah blah. Like this is gonna be so embarrassing. And then I was like stressed walking into the other class late. Like I was only like 2 minutes late, but it was like the minute I walked in, no one like reacted. There was no embarrassment really. Embarrassment is all in our head, and that's what a lot of people don't seem to realize, especially when it comes to school. Everything is what we make of it. And if you choose to be embarrassed by something, it's going to be embarrassing. But it can't be embarrassing if you don't let it be. You're just like, oh, it happens. Oh well. I have a thing with like, I've never had a professor until now that actually got me excited to go to class or excited to pay, like able to pay attention. Like I've always kind of struggled with focusing. And even in high school, like I would connect kind of to the material, but my English professor, like I have, she has my full attention, complete, full, undivided attention for the whole 75 minutes. And I don't think any of my teachers or professors have ever gotten that from me. And it's insane. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so engaged in like that class. It's never happened like that before. Like, even if I was like having, like, it was like a fun class or whatever, I've never been this engaged in a class. And I feel like it just takes that one person to really like ignite that spark that like you don't want to stop learning in that class. And then my other class today is similar to like psychology. It's called interpersonal communications. And I thought it was going to be more like public speaking, but it's the class I didn't know I needed. And it's about like attachment styles and like relationships, etc., etc. And it was a little bit too real today. It was a little bit too real today. Um, we were talking about like attachment styles, and then like it was kind of crazy because I was able to place everyone else that I know into attachment styles. Like I was like, oh, like this is literally this person on paper, like them to a T. Like they checked off every box, and it was crazy. I was like, I feel like you just took my life and like put it on paper. Like you wrote every single person in my life down like at this point. So I was like, oh my god, this fits with this person, this fits with this person. It was kind of crazy to me. And I found it so interesting. Like I love when I can relate to things that like I never thought I would relate to. Yesterday I was at lunch with my friend, and then we went on this whole tangent, like an existential crisis for a solid hour. And we kept going on and on about things we didn't understand. Like it was insane. Like it just we went to Starbucks and we were sitting down, and we just went down this whole rabbit hole. We're like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. I don't get this. Like, and it just like, who came up with this? Like, cuz we're like confused. It's like, who was the first person? Like a chicken shit out an egg. Who was the first person to decide, "Oh, let's crack that and fry it and eat it"? Like who decided, like who was able to figure out that was edible but like a rock wasn't? Like how many people, like same with poisonous plants, how many people had to like die before you realized, oh, maybe we shouldn't eat this? Like how did you perfect like surgery? Like who is the first person that was like, oh, let's try this, let's just cut it open? Like especially open heart surgery, like you perfected that. Like I would not want to be the first person to try any of these things. Like who decided, oh, let's put a steak on the grill, cook it? Like we can't really consume this raw, but like let's cook it. Who thought of that? Like they saw fire and they're like, cook. Like who really thought of it? Like who figured out how to like sew clothing together? Like, oh, let's take this thread and connect these two pieces. Like it just, everything, like this happens to me twice a month at least. Like I go in like an existential crisis like episode where I'm like just on this whole tangent. This happened to me when I went to Florida this month too. This is the second time in the month like I did this. I was like, but who like decided like Jerry is a name and door is an object? Like who chose like what could be a word? Like what the shape of the letters are? Like why is like the number one, like why is it called a one? Like it's just like a whole tangent. We went on this whole thing like, and we were just losing our minds. And then we went back to school and we were like hanging out in an office, and like everyone was so confused around us, and because we were like batteries, like we were just saying a bunch of shit, and because we both would be like, well, who thought of that? And we're just like, we're like batteries, who figured that out? Like, and then my advisor was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like we were going on this whole spiral, and it was so funny because we're like, this is insane. Like who decided this is like a thing? Like same with Isaac Newton. How did you get that whole thing from an apple falling on your head? Makes no sense to me. There are so many things. Bluetooth. Who decided like we can connect things to Bluetooth? Like how did you actually figure that out? Like the like people's minds are insane. Like it's crazy the things people think of and then accomplish. Mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. I can't even think about it. I'm going back into my existential crisis spiral right now because I'm drinking my Starbucks and I'm thinking, who was like the first person to decide, ooh, like let's take coffee. Like, first of all, how did you figure out? Let's grind the beans, boil them, get this coffee from it. Let's ice it. Let's put this flavoring in it. Let's make this cream, like whipped cream. And like, who decided like to bake? Like, who decided like you needed an oven? And then to bake, like, you can take flour, you can take eggs and like milk, and you can make a cake with all of them. Like, who thought of these recipes when you didn't have this kind of thing naturally? Like, you didn't have like bread naturally. So who thought of coming up with this? Like, I'm sitting on my floor right now, drinking my Starbucks, having an existential crisis, the third one for this month. It's kind of just like a part 2 of the second one. Like, I'm sitting here spiraling off into everything that doesn't make sense in the world. The economy does not make sense to me at all. I got a B in macroeconomics last semester. And I feel like the kid in the Polar Express when he gets on his ticket, like a little B for believe. Because I don't believe in the economy. I don't believe in these man-made things that we take as like gospel. Like, another thing that's man-made, the Bible. Like, all of these things. Time, we all just eat the shit up. Like, how do you know for a fact there's 60 seconds in a minute? Who decided that? Like, why do some months have 30 days, some have 28, and some have 31? And then there's a leap year, so you give that day to February instead of just tacking it on to like December. Like, nothing makes sense. Like, I could sit here all day and talk about everything that I don't understand. Like, I genuinely do not believe in the economy, though. It makes no sense to me. I don't get why we listen to something that was written when people owned people. And we take its like nature. It's not natural. It's a human thing that we created. You don't need to follow it. Like, why do we? And then we complain about all of these things like it's so hard, like you can't just tax the rich. Like, there's so many laws in place, blah 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 blah. But like, things are not that hard that they're impossible. It's just you don't have the right motivation to do it. Like, rocket science, for example. Okay, it's hard, but it's not impossible that there aren't rocket scientists. It's not like becoming a surgeon is hard, but it's not impossible that there's no brain surgeons. Like, all of these things, they're possible. It's just you have to have the right motivation to do it. If you have no interest in rocket science, like, obviously you're not gonna fucking become a rocket scientist. Like, it blows my mind that we eat the shit up. Like, it's like, and the dollar is something we give value. We give that value. And I have a very strong belief in taxing the rich more because I got paid like 2 checks ago. Like, I made like about $1,000. 250 of those dollars were taken by the government. I'm a minimum wage worker. Like, I make slightly above minimum wage. Like, tax people that have billions of dollars so that I can keep more of my money because I'm barely making it as it is. Like, what the fuck? So what? I live with my parents. Like, I still need that money. I have to pay my dad for car insurance. Like, I need that money more than the fucking rich people do. Like, change the law. Like, you act like my macro professor last semester was like going through this whole thing. Like, oh, but like you can't just tax the rich because their lawyers worked for the IRS. Okay, well, then change the law so their IRS lawyers can't fucking use their loopholes. Like, I don't get why you think this is so fucking hard. It's just the lawmakers don't have the motivation to do it because they're either backed economically by people that are really rich and they're like, oh, don't do this. And they're funded, their campaigns are funded or they are the rich. So obviously they don't want to be taxed more. Like, people act like everything's so hard. No, just put a cap on the people for their age that are in office too, because old people are fucking stupid. That's rule number one. Old people are fucking dumb. That's all I gotta say. Like, I was driving the other day, and there's only one turning lane to get on this one road. This dumb bitch, she's probably like 70. I'm in the turning lane. She has her blinker on in the lane next to me. That's a straight lane. It's very obviously a straight lane. And then she fucking turns. And then the idiot behind her turned as well because she followed what the other person was doing. Like, I'm like, oh my god, you are so fucking stupid. And stupidity grows. Stupidity spreads. Stupidity is a disease. It literally, you surround yourself with stupid people, you will become stupid. There is more of a chance that the people around you, if you're surrounding yourself by stupid people, they will make you stupid than you making them smarter. That's how it works. And stupidity is literally a disease. And it's like you drink stupid juice. Like, the amount of dumb people that I've run into, I'm like, how could you be so fucking stupid? And most of them are fucking old. Like, the way I work, there's like a lot of old people that come in. The amount of them that are so stupid. Like, they'll have like a gift card, and I could tell you exactly when, like the day, the time, the service you use this gift card on. And they still have the audacity to be like, I never use this. I'm like, I'm looking at it right now. You gave me the exact number. It has your name on it. It says that you used it. And I can tell you the exact time that you came in. Like, don't be fucking idiot. Like old people are just so fucking entitled. Like, and then they complain that our generation is entitled. Like, are you stupid? Like, no, we just don't put up with bullshit. That your generation was taught to, like, respect the elders, like, respect old people. Like, yeah. But respect is also mutual. You don't just get respect because you're fucking old and you have one foot in the grave. Like, are you kidding? Like, who do you think you are? Like, I don't care if you're closer to death than I am. You're not getting my respect unless you fucking earn it. Like, I fucking can't stand old people. For a reason. Like, I don't like children. I don't like old people. There's kind of a pattern. I don't like a lot of people. I'm very picky with who I like. But, like, there's always a reason when I don't like someone. Like, I sound like I'm just a ball of hate, but I'm not. I have backed up facts and evidence as to why I don't fucking like these people. I'll give you an exception. If you're actually, like, if you don't fit into that category, I'll love you. And my love is genuine. But when you do these certain things, I'm like, get the fuck away from me. You're stupid, you're annoying, you're uneducated. A lot of, like, older generations are not educated, most of them, because they were taught just to immediately go into the workforce. That's going to result in you not being as intelligent. It's not like you're stupid just automatically because you didn't go to college, but you weren't educated. A lot of people dropped out at 16, didn't really care to try in school because your education was put on the back burner. They just cared about your labor, not really your skills educationally. And it was only till now that we're really focusing on education instead of just like what you can do, like physically, like, oh, you can move these boxes. Like, it's like, well, then how can you create boxes that are better for the environment? That's what we're focusing on more now. And so then it caused a whole generation of people that didn't learn because they didn't learn to think critically. And that's the biggest problem. So now we have, honestly, a bunch of idiots because none of them can think for themselves because they can't think critically. And now that's what we're stuck with. So, and then everyone says I'm the fucking goofball for not believing in the economy when it's not even Bible or anything. Like, it's not even real. It's not fucking real. And everyone likes to act like I'm psychotic because of this shit. I'm like, you guys are the idiot, like, just buying into this. I even talked to, in high school, I talked to my economics teacher. Love that man. He's an icon. But, like, me and my whole back corner, we, like, genuinely asked him, we're like, well, like, why can't you just print more money? And like, I understand you can't print more money because of inflation, but why is inflation a thing? Like, no one needs to know how many dollar bills there are around circulating. The government keeps so many lies and so many secrets from its people. Just fucking lie about something that's more useful and helpful. Circulate the money in a more effective way. If you can't just print more money, take more money from the fucking rich. But like, so I was talking to him and I was like, I used his words against him. And because on the first day of class, he was like, $20 is only $20 because we give it that value. So I said to him, I was like, well, $20 is only $20 because we say it's $20. Like, so we could print more money and just still say that $20 is worth that $20. Like, we don't have to say it's worth less if we just act like it's not changing the value. Like, value is something we give. Value isn't a determined thing. We give things value. Like, same way with house people spend their money. Like, certain people want to spend millions of dollars on like a house. Well, some people are like, well, I would rather spend maybe like $500,000 on my house and the other money towards maybe a new car or a vacation or things like that. Like, everyone has a different value system of what they want to spend their money on. But the value that we give money is also made up. So it's just like, that's the same way like richer people think of like $20 as like the same thing as what we think of like as a penny. Like, the more money you have, like the lesser the value of that dollar as it goes down is to you. Like, you don't really care about it. Like, we give things value. So just don't fucking change the value. Like, it's that simple and everyone thinks I'm fucking crazy. And by the end of this conversation, he was eating my shit up. He was like, oh my God, you are so right. Like, and I was like, I just won my life. I won my life. I know I can argue out of anything now. Like, I don't need to ever do this again. I proved my point. So when my macro professor wanted to talk his idiotic rambling about my paper when I said that the American dream isn't achievable anymore, I was like, I really don't need to hear this. Like, I know I'm right. I know most people will believe me. I have the facts. I have the evidence. And if you still don't want to believe me, that's on you. You can ramble on and on. Not my problem. So then after like he finished talking, I literally just left the room. I was like, I don't need to hear this bullshit. Like, I worked hard on that. Like, and he gave me a B on it. I was like, the fuck? Like, he was like, it was a little light. The thing is, he's a little racist prick that wants to fucking like, who probably has just tenure and just is grading things based on his opinion. Like, he wanted like a minimum of like 5 pages, but it wasn't like required. And I had like 4. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding? Like, you're gonna take points off of that? Like, if you can't fit a certain amount of facts when it's a yes or no question onto like 3 to 4 pages, like, I don't need to make it 7. Like, there's no need. If I'm just gonna be rambling on and on in a paper, like, I would not want to read that. Why would you want to grade that? There's only a certain amount of facts that you can fucking find. I pulled out like 5 sources and then a counter source. Like, I'm sorry, it's still not enough. Like, that's not my problem. Like, I'm sorry you just want to be dense and you don't want to fucking think because you're just old and like your brain's like deforming and disintegrating because you only have like a few years left of your life. Like, that's not my problem. You want to be grumpy all the time because you're fucking short and I can see over your head? Not my fucking problem. Like, I can't stand old people. Like, I can't stand them. So, yeah. Speaking of school and annoying people, there's like, now Snapchat has like where you could put your college and then there's like a shared story. And it's actually driving me up a wall because everyone's posting, like the past 2 days, everyone's posting their fucking Instagrams on it. Like, follow me, follow me. Like, you're really that desperate for followers? Like, do people really not like you that much? Like, shut up. And then now they're like all fighting, like literal 2-year-olds. Like, I literally can't stand this. Like, I'm like, oh my god, we're in fucking college. You guys need to fucking relax. Like, I just can't deal with stupid people. Like, I genuinely, like, rule number one for sticking around me, don't be fucking stupid. Like, you could be dumb, but don't be stupid. Like, there's a difference. Can't stand it. Yeah. But anyways, so this is like pretty a short episode this week because I was kind of stressed. Like, not stressed this week, but just a lot since going back to school. So this is just kind of a short episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me though this week. All socials, you know the deal. All socials are linked below. And see you next Thursday at 6. Love you.